the stock market, meaning companies, new highs.
I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. Nuts! They're nuts! They know nothing!
An online network called Internet.
Well, it's very hip to be on the internet right now.
Welcome to Market Mania, your no bullshit approach to all financial markets, including darknets, NFTs, cryptocurrencies, and of course, the largest casino in the world, the US stock market. Today, we are going to be discussing these pipeline shortages and the hacks. We've got Drukenmiller ripping the Federal Reserve. We've got RARI hack, another $11 million DeFi hack. These just seem to grow on trees these days. We'll do our pick of the day, of course, but first, we have markets crashing across the board. We've got stocks falling across Europe, NASDAQ tumbling. If you look in the top right here on the Dow and the S&P, everything's down like 1%. VIX is soaring. My goodness, what a crazy day. So, Brett, tell me, have you been following the madness this morning, and do you see this stopping before the day is done?
That's hard to say. Stopping before the day is done, I don't know. I mean, people seem on edge a bit, I would say, just in general. Throughout the markets, the behavior is a bit like people a little worried maybe that like the music is stopping or something. There have been a lot of crazy runs lately, and then you see Doge, Shibu, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, you see a lot of random stuff pumping, and people are getting like. I just think there's a fair bit of fear right now in the market, and so it doesn't have to be like the greatest like incident that could cause a fairly large sell-off because people are a bit on edge.
Well, there's so much, headwind in the way. We hear about first, I think it really started with Texas getting shut down this winter, and then now we've got pipeline shortages. We'll get more to that later, but that's headwind. We've got this jobs report that was absolutely abysmal. They were expecting that to be like a print of 1 million jobs, and it came back almost 75% less than what they expected. And then you see that you've got Archegos disaster, ARC having been seeded by Bill Huang, all these crazy top stories just hitting everything, and it still went up.
Does that matter? If ARC was seeded by Bill Huang, like, does he have to claw his investment back to like pay other people? Or I mean, that doesn't. It's not like he's running the ship there. He was just an investor. Or no, is there?
Absolutely not. But what it does signal, it's a top signal. It's a signal that shenanigans exactly like what Bill Huang was up to could be seeded across this market. People don't know what the next Archegos disaster could be, and I believe there's a few more out there. So all of these seem to be piling up. I mean, anybody at a glance could look across the markets, and frankly, I'm surprised it's taken this long for it to really feel this bad. What are you seeing out there, Mike? Is this what you expect? Do you see it clawing back before the end of the day, or do we have more pain ahead of us?
I would be surprised if there's not more pain ahead of us in the short term across many different markets. I've been, actively observing recently, stocks and crypto and things that I'm personally involved in. And I just, every time it's my turn to buy, whether I'm doing it weekly or whatever, I'm just like, this doesn't feel the best. And so my big thing with crypto and why I don't know what the future holds necessarily, and even though I'm kind of afraid of a future bear market, is that the last time around when the crypto markets really exceeded expectations, it was in ICOs, it was in shit coins. We were getting rug pulls all over the place. And even though I'm going to talk about one in a little bit, it's still, there's some differences now in this market versus last market. And right now, most of my liquidity is sitting in like farms where I'm the house and I'm being the bank for exchanges, these decentralized exchanges, and like, how bad is it going to be on a downturn where I've got a USD and ETH pair that I'm working with? Like it's different for me in many ways. I do expect some downturns in the future, but I don't know when, certainly.
Well, this is something we're going to have to stay on top of. I think we've got a few more rough days ahead of us in the markets. I mean, there's just so much bad news out there, and there's not much more good news to be had. I was actually talking to Matt Glantz earlier. He couldn't join us. He's a little busy, but I caught a glimpse of what he was up to earlier. Actually, let me see if I can get a hold of him here. Hey, Matt, are you there? Oh, no. Oh, sorry, Matt. We'll quit bugging you. Oh, shit. He's having a bad day. Okay, well, we'll leave him alone. But moving on, we got part of the problem that this is going down is these pipeline shortages. What is up with this? It seems like a hacker came along, hacked one of our biggest pipelines running across the southeast of North America. Shortages being reported all over the place. Runs on gas stations. Reports of people running out of gas. I mean, this is starting to look very Mad Max. Do I have to be worried about this, Mike? What do you think?
I personally, I feel like maybe I've got my head buried in the sand a little bit. You know, I certainly have some nervousness in that sense, but it doesn't feel like Florida is experiencing this panic. It's possible that we get more of our gasoline from a Georgia port, more so than a little bit north of that. So maybe the more of the gas that comes to our regions are less disrupted. But I personally haven't been feeling the effects of this. I've gotten multiple calls from out of state being like, "Hey, make sure you're getting gas." I'm like, okay, I guess so. Certainly, if you are in one of these, you know, southeastern states that are north of Florida, I certainly would be a little more attentive than I've been. But Brett, do you have any opinions on this?
Not particularly. I mean, you're there, so you would know more. I think that it kind of plays into the. It doesn't take a whole lot of news to sort of cause people to overreact nowadays with social media, the sort of amplification of anything. And there is some, at least people that really like to spread like sky is falling narratives. So like, I'm curious how many towns, right? How many gas stations, what percent in Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, wherever are actually impacted by this? Is it like something really small and it's almost like clickbait? I don't know. But whenever these runs on commodities happen, we saw it with COVID and like toilet paper at first and a few other items. It goes quick, man. Everyone just FOMOs in, basically. It's almost like an ICO or something. They all FOMO in and load up their shares of gas or toilet paper, whatever they need.
Well, you know, this just totally underscores how the entire American economy is built on that just-in-time delivery, you know, pipeline of all commodities, whether it's food or fuel or whatever. If there's a disruption at all, the truck can't get its fuel, then it can't deliver to the grocery store, who then can't make a profit, who then can't make a credit payment, who then has to shut. I mean, the outward expanding cone of misery that can come from events like this, small though it may be, we hope, there's no telling. And just want to remind everybody, Bitcoin, bullion, bullets, butt wipe, and in this case, maybe a little bit of fuel in the garage. Just be ready for anything. Let's be anti-fragile Americans. All right,
Tony, on that topic real quick, how easy is it to build a basement in a basement bunker in one of your northern states? Because I don't have one in Florida. We don't have basements, so I don't even know if this is a real thing or not.
Well, you got to get a few permits, but I think it can be done. Actually, we have quite a few missile silos up here for sale. So just saying, North Dakota, we got the food, we got the nukes. Might be a good stop off here. Look, Drukenmiller's a little concerned about everything as well. He was on CNBC today. They actually let him say something true. I was astonished. He came on and said the Fed's policies are completely out of scope with what he sees to be the emergency that we're facing. He seems to think that we're coming up out of the shutdown and that it's time for the Fed to stop its shenanigans, stop its printing, and restore interest rates a little higher so that we can get a handle on inflation. Now, I have to agree with Drukenmiller here, but I think he's a little too late. You know, he's trying to sound an alarm that should have been sounded years ago. And for him to come and say we need to start raising rates now, how could the Fed possibly raise rates? The second they try and go up even a few basis points, America won't be able to service its own debt. It will collapse under the load of just even attempting to make a single payment on that debt. And as far as controlling inflation, he'd have to rip these rates up almost to 10% to get a handle, I think, on our current projected inflation. So for him to come out and say, bad Fed, you should change your tune, what could the Fed even possibly do? What am I missing here, Brett?
Honestly, I don't know. I sort of leave that to the experts, which I'm not a Fed expert. What I will say is I don't get why the Fed, they don't, like, to me, that's such an important job that he should be making like $10 million, right? So you don't have all these conflicts of interest. You don't have the guy that's in charge of the Fed really looking out for Wall Street because he knows that's where the money's going to come once he's done there. That's one of the most important jobs in the world, right? So I think it should be paid like a huge amount and hire somebody really good that's then not incentivized to now I need to just go make more from Wall Street. Hopefully 10 million a year or whatever is good enough, because I don't know the answer, right? I've seen a lot of sharp people on both sides of the equation. And I will say this, I would like to see the Fed working for the average person, not Wall Street. I just don't know the best way to accomplish that.
Well, I wish the Pope wasn't gay, but we don't all get everything we want. Just kidding. The Pope would love to be gay. The thing is, Drukenmiller's pointing out something very important here, which is that the Fed has this tool in their back pocket, which is to just print money and buy and buy and buy. I think they're going to keep doing that. I think that's their only play. And even though we're seeing these markets completely collapse right now, I gotta feel like they're going up again. I don't think this is the end for blowing the bubble. Not investment advice. What do you think, Mike? Am I crazy?
I just think they should own some Bitcoin or something useful that, could actually be the government policy down long term. But, that's certainly decades away from being the reality, if you ask me. So interesting part of that story that I found at the very end is when he told CNBC that there is no doubt whatsoever that we are in a raging mania in all assets. And, obviously I touched on that personally earlier, but like I've never been in a mania across all assets before. So normally you want to ride one ship and get off or whatever, but I don't know what to do from here. So I hope you guys can guide the ship a little better than me.
That's crazy. Hey, just a quick update. Chat's saying that they're seeing a lot of shortages all around that southeast area. So it does seem like these are more than just clickbait headlines. Let's move on.
Do your own research.
Yeah, do your own research. Let's move on to this RARI, is that how you say it? Ethereum DeFi project. So it looks like there's another $1 million rug pull on another Ethereum project. Must be another day of the week that ends in Y. What's going on here? I didn't follow this one.
Luckily, there's a happy ending here. So I'll go ahead and plant that in the beginning. But I've been digging around a lot more in the DeFi space because there's a new project popping up, guaranteeing these high rates, whatever. There's certainly going to be some scams that pop up. So I'm trying to do my own research and not FOMO too much, but obviously you only have so much time in the day. So we come across this one and they had 60% of the funds stolen from their reserve. It was 2,600 Ethereum. And the total amount was about $11 million worth of value. And now that could have been a couple days ago, and that could be, 20 million now for all we know. But there's a couple factors here. So they have a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, that they have to vote through to have all of these changes. And it's a decentralized investing robo platform. So the owners of the RARI governance token have decided they're going to donate $24 million of that RARI governance token into this DAO. And then the people that can vote in the DAO will then vote whether or not the people can get this money refunded. So all of the users, barring the vote in the DAO, I want to be clear, usually people voting themselves money works out well for the people getting the money, but we can't necessarily assume that. But they may get all of their funds back because the RARI governance token was donated to the DAO, and now they're going to vote on that coming up. So a couple other things here. This was manipulated code that came from a different DeFi space. It came from Alpha Finance. So that Alpha Finance code had already been audited by QuaintStamp, I believe it's called. That is something I'm familiar with, but I don't know a lot of details of. I'd heard the name a few times. So listen, we're all trying to do this in a very quick and efficient manner. But let's be honest, when all these codes are getting mixed, what could happen? A lot of things can go wrong. So, this is just another day in the office for the coding world.
Unreal, man. It's so hard to keep up with all of this. Token doesn't seem to have taken too bad of a hit based on that. But, boy, I tell you what, it's getting hard. Sorry, go ahead, Brett.
I was just gonna say one other interesting thing. I believe they're all teenagers. Maybe some of them are like early 20s, but these are young kids. And as you pointed out with Alpha Finance, that's one of the risks in the DeFi space, right? Everyone talks about the composability. It's like these money Legos that you can interchange and like take a piece from this thing and another one. And the risk sort of is the more of these Legos you use, or it increases your attack surface, right? So RARI didn't necessarily like do anything wrong other than they integrated with the wrong thing, which in turn turns out you did something wrong from that standpoint. But the attack surfaces, the more like DeFi expands, I think we're going to see a lot more attacks. And this wasn't a rug. A rug would be if they like pulled it. This was just like an attack. And
fair enough.
And I think like there's been some other ones. There's been a lot, man. I don't even remember, but there was at least one other pretty big one over the weekend, like 10 million plus hack, I think. And so I think, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the nature of the space. If you are trading in these pools, obviously use bankroll management, because like any one pool, in my opinion, can be attacked at any point, or you need to carry that risk in mind. And so just sort of like when I was playing online poker, I would have money on a few of the random offshore sites. To be honest, sometimes I would just be all in on one, but I shouldn't have. Spread your risk around.
I absolutely agree with what Brett's saying, and it's something that I've kind of landed on myself as well. I'm probably going to play in many farms for smaller amounts, even though the gas costs are not necessarily suggestive of that being the correct way to do it, because I'm building in counterparty risk. I'm building in the fact that I don't know the code. I'm just a user. I'm just a guy that's trying to make a buck off my Ethereum or whatever. So I got to be very careful by understanding I don't know very much, right? So I'm going to try personally to reduce my risk by trying to use a few different of these protocols, and then hopefully the gains are good enough to justify it.
You know, that sounds very reasonable. We'll have none of that here on Market Mania, especially because it's about to get a little crazier. You got to put on the safety glasses, and remember, this is not investment advice. Do your own research for the Market Mania pick of the day. All right, Brett, what have you got for me today?
So I'm going to short Dfinity, the ICP Internet Computer Protocol. Nothing against these guys. They just launched, but they launched into like a top 5 valuation, which they have. I mean, this project, I think, started in 2017, maybe even 2016. It's been a long time waiting. A lot of the investors are going to be looking to cash out. It obviously could be a success. There's a lot of hype around it, but like a $50 billion top 5 market cap valuation to me is too high. I think on FTX you can actually short this thing. So I like shorting it. It just seems too high. Who knows though? I mean, I'm wrong here all the time.
Hey, Mike, you got a thought on this?
Okay, so I saw Brett write that this was his play. I pulled up CoinMarketCap unrelated and saw this thing pop up for the very first time. I was literally on CoinMarketCap last night and didn't notice it. And now it's number 8 overall. I'm out.
I got to say, Brett, kudos. You've been doing a lot of shorting. It takes some real cojones. All right, bring it up. Yeah. Mike, what have you got for me?
My pick of the day is DraftKings. There's been a little FUD recently because their revenue wasn't as big as they had hoped, and I don't care. It's an amazing product. I use it every day. They are an unbelievable gambling product and a casino in your hands. I'm all in.
Right on. And the one that I'm getting a little steamy for is Cumrocket Crypto. Buy your cummies. This is not investment advice. Do your own research. But Cumrockets, they got a great name. They're funny as hell. Small unit price. 15% pump today. Get some hot ropes of steamy profit in Clown World. Not investment advice. All right. What do you say we wrap this up? Move on with our week. Forget that I just told you to buy Cumrockets. And try and just navigate these crazy markets as best we can. I mean, we're trying to keep our ear to the ground here, let you know what's going on, but we missed some things too. So if there's something out there you'd like us to cover, let us know. Be sure to like, subscribe, everything we have here. Go to Mindac Gold, talk to Mindac Jack, and get your precious metals pricing. And as we watch the S&P collapse, why aren't you buying gold and silver right now? You're crazy. You're crazy. So with that, you know, I don't have any words of wisdom for you. Just keep your head down out there, and you know, we will see you tomorrow, if there is a tomorrow. But for now, it's lights out.
I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine.
Time to right the wrong. So your hands in the air if you like the song. If you're going over there, take it twice as long. Last time ain't talking about Tylenol. Oh, I bet you'd like to know. You can come around the way if you're trying to go. If you want to switch lanes for a pot of gold or a domino, out of control. The usual. Get mad cause I'm looking at your girl. Switch it up. I do it so much louder than everything you've heard. Everybody heard, got the word that the world wasn't turning. Act like you're in a jury. However, turn it, we're how we're turning. Can't lie like it's Mississippi burning. Don't act like you're in a daze. I mad, should've looked the other way. Couldn't clear space on my mind, was afraid of the time. Strobe lights like in the moonlight. I'm in the mood right now, how about tonight? My interview's tight now.